Thank you. Thank you very much. Boy, it is a great day in Buffalo and an inspirational day in Buffalo. And I, too, am intimidated to step to the microphone after your contribution, Jeffrey. First, to all the people who make this institution what it is, and especially to Yanni Siren, who did a magnificent, magnificent job. Let's give him a round of applause. And we have the head of the Capital Campaign, who I was surprised you didn't have to revise your estimate up when Jeffrey came in with such a large number. He's been introduced as a pillar of the community. He's a pillar of the state. He really is. He has been an extraordinary businessman and civic mind for the state and done such great work. Robert Wilmers, thank you very much for everything that you do. County Exec Mark Polencars, $5 million. I'll give you a standing ovation right there. To all the other members of the board, Thomas Hyde, congratulations to all of you. I think it's a telling story when Jeffrey was speaking about visiting the museum as a young boy and the effect that it had on him as a young boy that literally changed his entire life. It shows what the value of this institution really is. We tend to think that art is something that you enjoy later in life when you have a more sophisticated understanding. That's not Jeffrey's story. It's the inspiration of the young mind and the mind as it's forming and as it's being created and opening new visions and new images for that mind. And to have that presence, to have that access is vital. And we're working on many aspects of Western New York and redeveloping Western New York, but a big, big part of it is the cultural institution. And this institution is at the top of that list, and it is now an even better institution. That the museum was in a position where it had more art than it could display was really an untenable situation. And this will remedy that. Jeffrey is referred to on the other side of the country as the king of bonds. Here we're going to refer to you as the king of Buffalo. I want you to know, Jeffrey. It really is a tremendous, tremendous gift, and we're forever grateful. I'm in the same position as the county executive. Your gift inspired the state to action, and on behalf of the executive and on behalf of the New York State Senate, we're going to pledge $5 and $5 million for a total of $10 million. And I want to thank Senator Tim Kennedy, who is here, and Senator Mark Panapinto. Let's ask them to stand and give them a round of applause. And I understand the State Assembly will be having a separate announcement. So the state is doing its part, and we want to be part of this, and we want to be part of this on an ongoing basis. So, but one more big round of applause to Jeffrey Gundlach. Thank you so much, and let's give him a real round of Buffalo appreciation. Thank you. Thank you. Let me take the opportunity, if I might, to speak to a matter about Buffalo, about the Buffalo billion that was in the newspapers today, if you had a chance to glance at them. That is a a serious issue that I'd like to address with you here today. The U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Manhattan announced 9 individuals connected with the Buffalo Billion with charges against them. And the U.S. Attorney filed a complaint laying out charges against these 9. It was an emotional day for me. One of the 9 people has been a longtime friend of mine. And it was very disturbing. It's only a complaint, and I'm the former Attorney General, and you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But the complaint spelled out a very disturbing and reprehensible story of possible misdeeds by these 9 individuals. And it was emotional because a longtime friend, and I was tremendously disappointed. The central plank of my administration has always been about public integrity and zero tolerance for any waste, fraud, or abuse. If anything, I hold a friend to a higher standard. And the allegations are truly, truly disappointing. I know this gentleman for over 25 years. He started working for my father when he was 19 years old. It's the first time since we lost my father that I didn't miss him being here yesterday because it would have broken his heart. But we have to be clear and speak with one voice that any wrongdoing in state government will be punished severely. As Attorney General, I put people in jail for wrongdoing. And we're going to work and cooperate 100% with this U.S. Attorney. And to the extent there was any wrongdoing, the justice will be sure and justice will be swift. It was also sad on one hand because he was a good friend. I have known him for a long time. I know the family. I saw the children grow up, so it's a painful experience to go through. But that is what it will be. But I also had the emotion of determination. And I want you to know personally that these charges against these 9 individuals will have absolutely nothing to do with the energy and the progress and the momentum of Western New York's revitalization under the Buffalo Billion Project. I want you to know that I am more committed to Western New York's revitalization than ever before. I want you to know that we are not going to miss a beat. Yesterday, SUNY suspended the president who was part of the allegations by the U.S. Attorney. We are today going to take that portfolio of responsibility, those projects, transfer them all to the Empire State Development Corporation, which is run by a fellow named Howard Zemsky is his name, and he'll take over management of that immediately. Howard's first mission is to learn from what happened and to see how we improve the system to make sure that this never happens again. I want the taxpayers of New York to know that every dollar is guarded and guarded professionally. We had engaged an organization headed by a former prosecutor to review our entire procurement system. We have that report. It recommends changes to the procurement system. We accept all the changes to the procurement system, and we're going to be instituting them immediately to make sure whatever can be done to protect the taxpayer dollars is going to be done. The second mission is that not only do we not want to miss a beat, but we want to redouble our effort. If the Buffalo Billion was phase 1, then Mr. Zemsky's charge is to design a plan for phase 2 of Western New York's revitalization. take 3 months to do it, have it ready for January for the State of the State, and I will include it in my State of the State as phase 2 of Western New York's revitalization. But I also want to say this to the naysayers and the doubters, because it's amazing how quick the negative can rise up. And you read the paper and you hear people saying, well, this is going to hurt now the Buffalo billion. Anyone who would say that really doesn't know what the Buffalo billion was about in the first place. It had nothing to do with those 9 people. The Buffalo billion is much bigger, it's much more important. It's about revitalizing a region with 1.5 million people and making sure that their tomorrow is better than their yesterday. The Buffalo billion is about a great group of leaders who have worked tirelessly and selfishly for years to put together the plan and make it happen. People like Mark Poloncarz and Byron Brown and Kathy Hochul and Howard Zemsky and John Majori and Robert Joya and Tony Masiello and Jeffrey Belt. And these people have done an extraordinary service to the people of Western New York, and they should be applauded, and they should be credited. And the Buffalo billion is not about just building projects. The Buffalo billion is about a fundamental transformation for Buffalo. It is taking Buffalo from a place of cynicism to a place of hope, a place of frustration to a place of possibility, a place of competing with each other to collaborating with each other. Whereas instead of focusing on the past and dwelling on the past and living in the past, Buffalo is now planning for the future and acting for the future. That's what the Buffalo billion is all about. And it is working, and there are signs of it. It's working everywhere. Go to Canal Side and see 1.5 million visitors to Canal Side, a new record. Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, 12,000 jobs. Riverbend, which is literally rising on the ashes of Republic Steel, the Fruit Belt community that is now being included in a new era of progress and growth. New hotels rising in Niagara Falls, rather than looking across the border and watching the hotels rising somewhere else. Most private sector jobs in the history of Buffalo exist today. Highest home values in history exist today. More young people staying in Buffalo because they don't have to leave to find opportunity because it's here. More young people coming back than ever before. And the Buffalo billion is working because the private sector believes in Buffalo again. That's why Terry Bagula is willing to build a harbor center and spend $1 billion to keep the Buffalo Bills here at home. Goldman Sachs investing in Niagara Falls for the first time ever. Jeffrey Gundlach, $40 million gift because he believes in Buffalo and Buffalo's revitalization and birth. Geico, 600 new jobs. My friends, what you have done here is remarkable. It's not just about a handful of years. Buffalo has gone from a national symbol of decline to a national symbol of possibility. Cities all across the state cities all across the state and all across the nation now look to Buffalo as a model of possibility and urban revitalization. Buffalo stands for the proposition that, yes, we have challenges, but that we will overcome. That success is determined by our response to the setbacks that life will inevitably deal us. We will learn from this, We will be better for it. We will be stronger for it. And today we say we are not slowing down. We are speeding up. We're not doing less. We are doing more. We are not going backwards, my friends. We are going forward. And if you think Western New York is doing great now, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you, and God bless you.
Why are you all leaving? That's so depressing. Governor, I want to thank you for the vote of confidence. And I wasn't that busy, so I appreciate all the extra work. You know, in truth, I spoke to the Business Council this week, and I told them I've never had a job that I've been prouder of, and I only wish, truthfully, that my grandparents could have seen it and my mother could have seen it. It's a tremendous honor working with you, being your Commissioner of Economic Development, and I mean that very sincerely. It's a tremendous honor, and that's how I approach it. Thank you. I should congratulate Yanni, of course, and the board for their amazing accomplishments here. It's obviously a remarkable day. Jeffrey, it's a historic and inspirational gift, obviously. I was talking with Jeffrey backstage for a little while. I got to know him a bit in a short while. He graduated high school in '77. I graduated high school in '77. I know what he was doing in high school in '77. And I'm going to tell you, it wasn't all math. I'm just guessing. I want to recognize my wife, Leslie, who's part of all this because she's chaired the board, and she chaired, I think, the search committee that brought Yanni here, so she's an important part of this whole process, so congratulations. I know this is very gratifying, and I want to recognize my daughter, Kayla, who's 29 and just completed 7 years with the Whitney Museum in New York and is recently engaged and is moving back to Buffalo. So when I go out and talk about throughout the state how Buffalo has its young people and is keeping its young people and the young people are moving back, I speak from personal experience, I'm very proud to say. Since we're here at the Art Gallery, I should probably share my art acumen with you. I just did. I hope that was helpful. My first 20 years in Buffalo, I grew up in Long Island. My first 20 years in Buffalo, I was in the food processing business, and I had the opportunity to travel all over the country, the top 75 markets in the US, and sometimes it was depressing because I'd go out and everyone would talk about their economy and how it's growing and their future and their housing values, and I'd come back to Buffalo. And I did this for a long time, and it was 10 years of downward decline, and then it was 15, and it was 20, and before you knew it, it was a quarter century of decline, and it wasn't good. It felt lousy, to tell you the truth. When I came to Buffalo 35 years ago, the salvation of Buffalo was going to be the light rail and the pedestrian mall. Ironically, 30 years later, I chaired the Transportation Authority, and we undid the pedestrian wall. What are the chances? But we were never a particular concern to any governor during my first 30 years here. We just weren't. We really weren't. One afternoon, the summer of 2011, I may or may not have been at Sharky's Tavern in Larkinville after work. And I got a call inviting me to participate in a new way of doing economic development. And of course, having been out around the country and seeing this decline, it took about a second to say yes. And it wasn't because I was having any beer. I may or may not have been having any beer. May or may not have been on my second beer. The approach to economic development is decentralized, meaning it's not a one-size-fits-all to economic development, and it's strategic, meaning it builds on our assets, our unique assets here in Western New York and in Buffalo. And that means we build on assets like art, culture, history, colleges and universities, all the strengths that we have. When you look in any direction from where we stand today, you can see the way the governor has supported and empowered us to get off of the sidelines and into the game of economic development. If you look at Buffalo State, almost an unprecedented $500 million of capital investment at Buffalo State. You look at the Birchfield Penny Art Gallery. You look at the H.H. Richardson Design Building in collaboration with Olmsted and the amazing transformation that is going on there. You look at the Martin House just a mile down the road. You go to the zoo. You go downtown and you see the role of the state's historic tax credits enabling the revitalization of so many of our historic buildings. From here, you look to the west side and all the work we've done with Aaron and Push Buffalo. You look at the Niagara Street corridor and the tremendous role of the state in revitalizing that. You look at the east side and Northland and the workforce training and Canal Side. And everywhere you look in this community, the fingerprints of the state and the work and the plan and all of your energy and all of your participation, because this was a bottom-up approach, is so evident. You look at the medical campus, you look at 43 North business plan competition. We have a totally new energy, and we've been empowered to create a new Buffalo, and that's exactly what we did. I was never in it to make any money, and some of you know I work for $1 a year. But what you don't know is that Social Security takes out 7 cents. For $1, I'm good. For 93 cents. For this extra work, I want the extra 7 cents. It's true. But I was never in it to make money. I was in it to work with an amazing champion of Buffalo and Western New York to make change. The first governor in forever that has made Western New York and Buffalo his #1 priority, period, end of discussion. The whole point of it all was bringing our kids back. That's the acid test. So Kayla, you're the definition of success for us, and for all of us. My daughter, your daughters, your sons, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There isn't a person, and I recognize many of you, who at one point in time over the last 25 years didn't think to yourself, this place has no future. Every one of you flirted with the idea that, in fact, this place had no future. Admit it. It was really bad for a really long time. And believe me, it is not coincidental that this whole turnaround coincides with a new governor for this state. I do want you to know that I travel all across the state all the time, and people are talking about Buffalo in ways that would make you proud. I go all over the state, and people say, we want to be the next Buffalo. So be proud. You've made a tremendous transformation. You have the most amazing partner, the governor of the state of New York, in your corner. And congratulations to all of you. Let's keep making it happen in Western New York. Thank you.